Welcome back everyone. This video is one you've all been waiting for. You've been waiting for me to do this one for a long time. This is Mulloway one-on-one. I should say 101. I get asked these questions a lot. Even though I'm not in the Gold Coast now, I'm still getting emails about when and how and what gear and how I set up and stuff for Mulloway. I have done videos videos on bits and pieces in the past for Mulloway off the Gold Coast or South East Queensland. I will put those links in the descriptions for you to check out, because they might actually help you understand this one a little bit better. Because I go quite into depth with a couple of them on where I anchor on the reefs, what I look for in the reefs. So that'd be a good one to check out after this video. So let's get to it, guys. Even though I'm not there on the Gold Coast, but I still remember how to catch dewies. I still remember what I used to do. So let's go. If I was starting off the Mulloway adventures for the year, usually I start off around winter time. And I know you can catch them down there all year round, summer and winter, all year. But generally we catch a lot more and bigger ones over the colder months, so winter. And to start off with, if I was grabbing my gear to head out, guys, I got my basic old tackle box. This is my old tackle tray. It's got a few sinkers and hooks, and I used to run anywhere from like a 8-ounce ball. I think that's more of a 6 or 7. So it's depending on the current, but most of the time be an 8-ounce ball. Up to, these are like a 10-ounce Lumo sinker. This is one of my favourite ones. Okay, so I'd have a tackle box, a few of them in there. I'd have my old octopus hooks from 6/0s to 10/0s in size, depending on the bait I gathered. Okay, so 6/0 to 10/0s usually my go-to hooks, depending on the size of the bait. Some days you'll get tiny little Yakkas and that's all you can find. Other days you get tailor, you'll get pike. You'll get big Yakkas, slimy, so take a variety of hooks depending on the size of the bait. And then you can rig up out there. Because the rigs are very, very simple too. There's nothing hard about the rigs for the dewies. Okay, so I got my trusty old tackle box with a few hooks and a few sinkers. I always run 80-pound trace when I'm chasing the dew, just from the raspy teeth. With the smaller fish and the schoolies, you get them up fairly quickly, so it doesn't really matter. It's 40, 60 you will run. But if you start getting them like 50 pound, 60 pound, up to 70 pound, I didn't land one that big unfortunately, but I've got a lot of 50s and 60s. And they do pull very hard, so especially in the current and deeper water. 80 pound, just for raspy teeth so they don't wear through on you, okay? So 80 pound leader, I'll be grabbing my little tackle box for hooks and sinkers. I am taking a few swivels too. It depends on where I'm fishing. I'll explain that in a minute. There's I fish a couple of different ways, a couple of different spots, okay? And some swivels too. So you've got your little black crane swivels, not so little. Okay, so all that. The next thing I'll grab is my little tackle box here full of little tiny lures. This is mainly if I'm going to bait gather in the broad water on the way out, and that only depends on the tide for the day. If I'm heading out, like I usually head out, leave about 2:33 in the afternoon, okay? And depending on the tide, if the tide's coming in or if the top half of the tide coming in, I'll take my little tackle box here full of my little hard body lures, okay? A little big mess, little hard body lures. And I'll be using these in the broadwater on the way out for pike. So I'd go to anywhere there's a weed flats. It used to be north of Waybreak Island there, this weed flats on the flat. We used to go in there and troll around little hard bodies like this, really work them hard, twitch them. Just on your flathead gear, little 2500, say 6 or 8 pound braid, just a little flathead outfit. With about 12 pound leader, 12 to 16 pound, about 16. I used to run about 12 I think for the pike. Okay, just trolling little hard bodies like this around this flat and catch a few pike. Pike are pretty much, they really are one of the best baits out there. They really are good for dewies. Dewies love them. And every now and again for bycatch you'll get a big red, like a big snapper on them. I mean a big snapper, like 8, 9, 10 kilo, which is not a bad bycatch. And you've seen me do that a few times too. So pike on the way through the broadwater, if the tide's right. If the tide's running out or it's low water or something, don't worry about the broadwater. Leave this stuff at home if you know what the tide is. Take your little rod, your little 2500, or if that's your bait rod, you're going to need a bait rod, alright? So leave your little tackle box home if the water's, not the right tide in the broadwater or the rivers or wherever you're leaving from. Head out, but here's the catch, I don't go to the bait grounds. I never fish the bait grounds. I hate the bait grounds off the Gold Coast. Every man his dog hits them. They're so unpredictable. Even if you find bait, they're so hard to catch at times. And you can waste your hour. You've got about an hour and a half of bait gathering before you've got to go find your spot and find where you're going to fish for the night. So you're just going to waste your time on the bait grounds. I hate the bait grounds. Bypass the bait grounds. I run out to the 16 to 18 fathom line. A lot of you guys know I used to fish a place called Hookbender. You'll find that mark in the sheets, the GPS marks I've put on my YouTube channel. I've got them on there. It's called Hookbender. There's another one called 17. They're my two main Dewey marks. And I used to go to those two spots. One's on the 16 fathom, one's on the 18 fathoms. And I'd search around there, and 9 times out of 10 I'd catch the Yakkas out there. Yakkas, sometimes slimies, small tailer, and definitely pike after dark, but we'll get to that later. So go catch the bait, go find the bait on the reefs. Here's the main key for Dewey fishing. Oh, two things I'm going to tell you about Dewey fishing. I fish new moon to about 2 or 3 nights before the full. I never fish the full. I hate the full moon. I despise the full moon. So I just stayed away from it. So new moon to 2 or 3 nights before the full. Okay? Head out. I'm just getting sidetracked. I've got so many things around my head. Sorry guys. Okay, so the moon phrase. New to up to 2 and 3 nights before the full. Head out to your grounds. Thank you, truck. And when I get to my reefs, I look for bait. I find the bait out there. And the main key of this is where you find the bait, what reef you find the bait on, that's the reef you want to stop and fish. Okay? Don't go to your favourite mark and sit there, drop anchor like some guys do and think when the sun goes down, all hell's going to break loose. More than likely not. There's no bait there. The fish aren't going to be there. Move around your marks. This is where you should have a few marks around the 16s and 18s. And there's plenty of lumps and bumps and rocks and plateaus out there. You'll find them. And just go around 30-35 metre mark. This is the main depth of water I used to fish with Big Jew. 30-35 metres, okay? And look for a reef that's holding bait. Catch, stay there, drop anchor on it, spot lock on it, whatever you do. Catch that bait, okay? Because that bait's where the bait is, the predator's going to be, the Dewey's going to be, the big snapper are going to be, they're going to be around the bait. They're not going to be on your favourite mark just because it's your favourite mark. Move around, even as a reef you don't really particularly like, but it's holding the bait. Fish it, okay? Because that's where the fish are going to be. So there's my first big tip. I've got 2 marks and I used to switch between the two because one of them will usually hold bait, it's called 17, and the other one's Hookbender. And they're quite big marks too, and to the south of them they break off into bits of reef. So I used to go from the main marks looking south to other bits of broken reef to the south of them. And if I found bait, those little break-offs south of them, that's where I'd fish. That's where I'd catch a fish. It's not always on my main mark. I just use those as 2 points to start with and have a look, and then go from there looking at the broken reef south. And once you found the bait, stay on the bait. Catch the bait, okay? And just get a few baits in the live bait tank. And as the sun starts to settle, you should be anchored on your reef. But I talk about in another video how I anchor and where I anchor on reefs. I'll put that link down below. It will help you out on how I fish and catch a lot of big mulloway and even snapper. But I anchor on the outside edge of the reef, guys. So I find the bait, and usually the bait's not far from the edge anyway. So find a bait, catch a bit of bait, and as the sun starts going down, it's getting near bite time, you want to move your boat, you want to look at the wind and the current, and move your boat so you're sitting on the outside edge of the reef. So basically you're going to be sitting on the eastern side. I don't know why the western side never really worked as well for me, so you've got to be on the eastern side. And over winter down there you get the westerly wind, so it holds you off. It works really well. If you've got a southerly wind or something, it can be a real pain in the ass for fishing because the boat will be sitting the wrong way. But don't give up. You can sit in the northern end of the reefs. I have caught fish doing that. It's slower fishing, it's harder fishing, but you can do it. If the winds are light northerly or something, which you get occasionally, and there's a bit of current, you for some reason can't get your boat on the outside edge of the reef, fish the southern edge. So southern edge is very good. The outside eastern edge of the reef's down there, very, very good. Northern edge, not as good, but if the wind and current's the wrong way or whatever, and it's a nice night and you've got time to go, you can get fish doing it. Slow, painful, but I have caught fish doing it. Sitting on the western side, on the inside edge of the reef, absolute crap. Never done any good for any species. It's always been shit. I don't know why. Okay. So you got your bait. You worked out you can anchor where you can fish off the outside edge or the southern edge. Drop your anchor so the boat's basically on the reef, but your lines, when you put them down, your live baits are going to be sitting off the back edge or the southern edge of the reef. You'll see it go down, and you see the bottom of the colour on your sounder change. You'll know where it's hard reef and where it starts, plateauing off into a flat. You'll know. Make sure your boat's above the reef, but your baits, when you're fishing, your baits are going to be going off the back edge or off the outside edge, depending on the current and the wind. And got to use a bit of common sense and think about it a little bit, but you'll get it. It's not that hard. So you want your baits on the outside or the southern edge, because most of the dewies, or pretty much all the dewies and the snapper and stuff, these fish they're ambush predators. So they're basically just cruising around the outside of the reef, ambushing whatever bait and stuff comes off the reef. So if you drop your baits right on the edge of the reef, and there's a couple of nice big juicy liveys sitting right on the edge, prime time they're sitting right in the dewies path, and they'll get eaten, they'll get swallowed at some stage during the night. Okay, so once you got your boat anchored, I've got two outfits I take. One you've seen so many times, my other favourite one a little while ago I lost, so I've got another one there, it's similar, so I'll show you. My first one is I put live baits on. That's a Satorium 30, and this is a monster mesh, Daiwa monster mesh rod. I don't know if you can get the monster meshes anymore, you might be able to, but that's a Satorium 30, and this is full of 15 kilo braid, so 30 pound braid. That is more than enough for dew. And like I said, I usually run about 2 to 3 metres of 80 pound leader. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one I've got, because I'll put 2 live baits down. If I'm fishing with somebody else, we'll have 2. If I'm by myself, I'll have 2 down. And the second one is I've got a little Speedmaster, little Speedmaster 10 or 12, that's a 12, whatever, on a Therese, 30 to 50. And this one's got 50 pound on it. It's a small light outfit, but it's a very, very powerful outfit. They're my 2 outfits, okay? So just outfits like that. I've got 130, 150. And the rigs are very simple, guys. There's 2 different rigs I use, and about for 2 different spots. But we're talking at the reef at the moment, so on the reef, we're going to go back to Old Faithful. This is my Old Faithful rig. If you watch my old videos, you know I love this rig. I've caught so many fish on it. So you got snelled hooks, okay? It's just a pair of snelled tenos. I've always got a little green bead there. I don't like the sinker sitting straight on top of the hook. And with this rig, I usually run a 10 ounce, and that's that Lumo. That's an 8 ounce, so 8 to 10 ounce, depending on the current. It is an 8 ounce. Yeah, 8 to 10 ounce, depending on the current. 10 ounce of the current's ripping. Don't go home with the current's ripping doing this, guys. The dewies will be sitting down behind the reef, out of the current. They're lazy. If you can get your baits in that spot, you're going to hook fish. So 8 to 10 ounce Lumo sinkers. There's the egg-shaped ones, are an 80 pound trace, okay? And I'll have that on both these rods when I'm fishing the reef. And, okay, by now you should have a few Yakkas in the bin, or, Yakkas or Slimies. Both work well. I prefer Yakkas, personally, but Slimies do work. Top hook through the nose, back hook through the tail. You should know all this. If not, I've done videos on how to rig up, how to bait up. You can, okay, and most important part about this rig, guys, I see this a lot when I take people out, because the sinker's so heavy and the bait will go down through the water slowly, but the sinker's really heavy. People, when they're letting these go to the bottom, they take their fingers off the spools and just let the sinker go, and all that does is the sinker shoots down, the bait's still up here, and then this will twist around your main line and you get one hell of a big tangle. Since you're only fishing 30 to 35 metres of water, it's quite shallow, keep your thumb on the spool, letting the line down slowly. So let a slow controlled drop. So basically keep the sinker in touch with your bait. So let it down slowly. You're only in 35 metres. It doesn't take long. It really doesn't. It's pretty quick. Just a slow controlled drop. Don't go super fast because you're just going to get a massive tangle. Okay, and once you hit the bottom with this, you've got your little livey there. So this will sit down like so. The livey's going to be sitting here swimming in the current. You'll swim there in the current for hours, happy as Larry. Hits the bottom, I wind up about 1 metre. So I want my bait off the bottom. So you've got the bottom here, I want to go up about 3 feet. And that's it. And then we're going to stick these outfits in the rod holders. in gear, okay? But here's the catch, guys. If you're in the mindset of running 12, 15 kilo a drag, get that out of your mind. All you're going to do is break rods, pull hooks, and it's useless. You don't want it. This is 15 kilo. So my drag set at 1/3 on this, so what's that? It's 5 kilo. So I'm running 5 kilo a drag, which is more than enough for dewies, more than enough for most fish. It really is. So I'm running 15 kilo drag on this. So I put this in the rod holder with 15 kilo drag. I've got 15 kilo line. It's 5 kilo drag. So I'm putting this in the rod holder, 5 kilo a drag. Ratchet on, and that's it. That's enough drag to set the hooks to tire a fish out. But if a fish hits it, this rod will buckle right over, the hooks will set, but you won't break lines, you won't break rods or anything else. Okay? That's got 5 kilo of drag off the tip. And when I'm doing this, I'm not fishing with plastic rod holders either. My rod holders on all my boats are stainless steel, because it is a hell of a lot of pressure on the rod and the rod holder. So when you hook big fish with the drags that heavy. But make sure it's about 5 kilo. You can even go a little bit less if you want. You can back it off to 3 to 4 kilo if you want, if you're worried about your rod breaking. But don't go out there, lock up your drags and shit. You're just going to break rods, pull hooks, breaks lines, and it's useless. Set your drags at 1/3. You really should. Okay. Put the rod in the rod holder. Bait's about 1 metre off the bottom, and just wait. The rod will sit there. You'll just see little tips like this on your rod tip. And as the sun's going down, you'll know when a dewy hits, because the rod will just buckle over the rod tip and near go to the water. And then you'll hear, it'll pull a couple of foot of drag off here. He'll hear the ratchet go a little bit, but you'll see the rod tip, and you'll hear everything straining. You'll know. You won't miss it. Okay. And it's the same deal with this one, but being 24 kilo, 1/3 breaking strain, okay, is 8 kilo. Your drag should be set for 8. But I won't run 80 kilo the rod holder, because that's way too heavy. You're going to break shit. So that's why I've got this one. This one's a lever drag. So I can actually set this lever about halfway, so I've set it about 4 kilo. It's more than enough to set the hooks. The rod tip will near hit the water. The hooks are set. And when I get the rod out of the rod holder, then I can push up the stroke at 8 kilo and really knuckle down and get the fish out of the hard bottom. That's why I like this one. Okay. So lever drags work in your favour actually. You can actually set your drag a little bit less while it's in the rod holder, and then push up the strike when you need to have your drag at 5 or 8 kilo. Okay, so then that bit's done, and all you're doing now, you've got 2 baits out in the water. They're both sitting down with big sinkers on them. They won't tangle, won't swim around, because there's no leader. There's no leverage for these fish to move around. They're just going to sit down on the boat, sitting there in the current, swimming side by side, not a problem. And one of them, if not both of them, and quite often both of them will actually go, because when dewies come around, you'll catch 2, 3, 4. We've gone home with 5 and 6 some nights, back in the early days when we could. But nowadays, if I went down there, I'd have no trouble getting 2 good fish a night. That's not that hard. Okay, the next step is catching the best bait, and that's at night time. So if you didn't catch pike on the way out, guys, if you didn't get in the rivers or broadwater on the way out, the tides are all wrong, wait till the sun goes down, and if you watch your sounder, you'll know if the pike are there. You'll see a cloud of looks like bait fish rise out of the bottom of the reef. I've talked about this. I'll put a link in I'll link down in the description for the other videos to go watch in depth. You'll understand more. You'll see on your sounder, you'll see a cloud of bait fish come from the bottom and they'll raise up. They'll come about 3/4 of the way up and sit about 3/4 of the way up, a big cloud. And that's pike usually, off the reefs at night time. And you'll know if they're pike if you're while you're doing this, you've got flatlining pillies out for snapper and stuff, which is a great idea. But once the pike set in, you can't get a bait past them, and they drive you nuts and they chew up your leaders, and it's very annoying. So if you get the snapper, go get your little bait rod, which should have had a bait jig on it for catching bait. Do yourself a favour, go to a tackle shop, buy yourself some little tiny gang hooks like so. Okay, you can buy them pretty much any shop. You're just going to want your gang hooks. You're going to want a little tiny bead of a sinker. I don't know if that's like a 0 or a 00, it's small. Tie that on so the sinker's sitting straight on top of the hooks. Put it on your bait rod. Now what I want you to do is the pillies, you should always have a packet of pillies because you'll need them to catch bait and chase a snapper if you're bored. But get a pilly, take a fillet off the side. Put just a fillet of pilchard on your gang hooks, so your little tiny gang hooks like this, on your little rod, And now flick it up current towards the bow of the boat, peel a bit of line off your little rod and just let it waft down slowly. You'll catch pike. The things that come and eat this will be little tailor and pike. You'll catch pike. And as soon as you catch pike, put it straight on your rod. Don't put it in a bait tank and wait around or wait for it later in the night. Put it on your rod straight away. Catch another pike, put it on your other rod. Pike are the best bait out there. Put them down live. Like, put them in the bait tank to keep them live until you get your rods up and reset. Put them on the rods, put them straight down. If you don't catch a dewy 2 pikes sitting down there, there's something seriously wrong. You're either in a really wrong spot or there's something really astray, because yeah, they'll eat the pike. They love the pike. So do the big reds. So if you get pike, put them on your bait, on your rod straight away. Don't mess around. Put them on and just keep your yakkas for backup in case you can't catch any pike later. Because sometimes they disappear. Most of the time they don't. And put your pike down. Okay, and keep them alive. Yeah, you can't miss fishing outside edge of the reef, bottom edge of the reef, live pike, night time. Yeah, you really shouldn't miss, especially new moon through winter months. And here's the last bit of advice, guys, I'm going to give you. Head out, like I said, about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon so you can go get some bait. Find the reef with the bait on it, anchor on it, get yourself all set up and the boat settled in, boat sitting there where you want it. All your gear set up before dark, so when as the sun starts going down, you start getting serious. That's when the baits go down, everything becomes nice and quiet, sit there, patient. And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't got a fish by 9 o'clock, go home. You're not going to get one. We have tried this many a times and experimented itself and Raf and a few other people over the years, and by about 9 o'clock, if you haven't got a fish by 9 o'clock, go home. You're not going to catch one. I don't know why, you just don't seem to get them late at night. Not in the reefs anyway. Okay. Before I knock off and go away, because I've yacked on enough, I'm going to do one more thing, guys. If you're off the Gold Coast and you're not going to the reef, or you don't know how to fish a reef and you're too scared to try this or for some reason, but you know where the blocks are. You know where the artificials, northeast of the seaway, artificial blocks. Go there. You're basically going to do the same thing I've talked about here. You just want to catch the yakkas there, put the yakkas back down, but you want to change the rig. Seriously, I don't know why. This rig at the blocks, I've caught a couple of fish, but it doesn't work as well. Okay, if you're going to go artificial blocks, chasing Jill at night time, go back to a running sinker rig. So once again, snowed hooks, put a yakka on it live, short trace, 80 pound to a swivel, and then have like a 8 ounce, 6 ounce ball. It doesn't have to be a Lumo one this time, just a normal everyday 6, 8 ounce ball. Put it on a controlled drop, remember, controlled drop. Keep the sinker in touch with your swivel, so nice and slowly going down so he doesn't swim around and tangle the shit out of your line on the way down. When it gets to the bottom, wind it up about a metre, about 3 feet, 2-3 feet off the bottom, a metre, close to a metre anyway. So he's off the bottom. Once again, you can put him in the rod holders again and wait, same deal. Everything's the same except for the rig changes. This rig works better on the blocks. I'm not sure why, I had to explain it, but it works better on the blocks. This one works better on the reef, but they both work in both spots. You'll just have more luck with this on the blocks and more luck with that one on the reefs. I don't know, strange but true. Another thing I've noticed over the years of catching them and fishing out there. And after you've got a couple, guys, hopefully you'll get a couple. Yeah, head home, be safe going through the seaway, make sure you've got a nice night, not too much swell. Bit of common sense, please. And after you start getting used to this and catching a few, 20 pounders, 30 pounders, just start doing a bit more, start experimenting, guys, and see if you can start breaking 40 pound, 50 pound. They're there, they are there, I can guarantee you. But you'll get a lot of smaller ones in between. The rare ones, the bigger ones are rare, and you've got to really put some time in for the 40, 50, 60 pounders. But guys, they are there. So practice catching a few 20 and 30 pounders, 20 pounders first, have some fun, and then start putting a bit more time in and see if you can get a big boy. And on that note, I've yacked on enough, guys. Once again, if you like the video and what I do, please subscribe and hit the like button. And on that note, I'm going to see you next week for another one.